So, very good morning, all. Thanks for joining the demo session. This is the first session, it's a demo session. So, in this session, we are going to discuss what are the course content we are going to cover and what are the opportunities we may have once we finish this course and everything we can discuss. And simultaneously, when you have any questions in between, you just chat or you just unmute yourself and you can speak your questions. Okay, you can ask your questions whenever you need. Yeah, so coming to this course, this is designed for multi-cloud. So we are going to cover multi-cloud along with the multiple CI/CD tools. We can say Jenkins is one of the CI/CD tool, and we can cover in this course, and as well as Azure Devops also we can cover. And coming to cloud, we can cover AWS and Azure both we can cover in this course. So this is designed to cover multi-clouds with the multiple CI/CD tools concept. So this is very useful course because nowadays in the market, if you observe rights in the outside, anyone can cover only one CI/CD tool along with one other cloud infrastructure platform. So whereas we are planning to offer this course along with multiple cloud platforms with multiple CI/CD tools along with the various tools which may required in the market to get a job very quickly. So what are the topics we are going to cover in this entire demonstration, right? So all those sessions, not only demonstration, entire session, entire class. So we are discussing all the topics are belongs to real-time topics. Okay, last 15 years I am working on say IT industry. So what are the painful areas we may have as a IT engineer or a DevOps engineer? I can discuss and I can share my experience and I can share my real-time experience. I can show you the real-time scenarios where exactly the painful areas when we are going to implement any technology. Okay, so just let's start. So coming to myself, my name is Ravi Kumar, and I do have 15 plus years of IT experience. And currently, I'm working as a cloud infra and DevOps lead, one of the leading company. And coming to the languages which I speak, I can understand and I can speak Telugu, English, and Hindi. So you guys are joined in the multiple areas. Maybe you are comfortable with the English, you can speak, and you can comfortable with Hindi or Telugu. What are the languages you can comfortable? You can speak me, and you can communicate with me anytime. And coming to technologies, which I am very strong on this, right? So hardware coming to, I do handle physical hardware. So because I do have experience on uh, data centers. Earlier, I used to work in data centers where we are hosted our physical servers, and I do have a good experience on dealing with HP and Dell servers. And coming to operating systems, I do have good experience on handling Windows, Linux, and Ubuntu. Coming to virtualization, ESXi and Hyper-V, these are all leading technologies in the virtualization market. So I do have hands-on experience. Still, I'm working in ESXi and Hyper-V. I do handle ESXi and Hyper-V servers. So to deal with our on-premises development and testing environment. So production we hosted on clouds. So because our platform is hosted on Azure and AWS. Some of the services are hosted on GCP as well. So basically, I'm to multiple technologies. So coming to networking, I do have a good experience on LAN and WAN technologies. And coming to cloud, so I'm working on AWS, Azure, and GCP cloud. So some part of Oracle cloud also. So I do have experience on Oracle Cloud. Few of the services we are opted from Oracle Cloud. So we are using this Oracle Cloud as well. And but I don't want to cover in this course in the Oracle Cloud. So in this course we only cover AWS and Azure. And containerization, I do have good experience on Docker and orchestration tool called Kubernetes. I do have good experience on Kubernetes and version control system, GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure repos. Okay, we can discuss these topics when we are dealing with the Git sessions. And coming to CI/CD tool, I do have good experience on Jenkins and Azure DevOps and Circle CI. Circle CI is one of the enterprise level tool, so which we are using in one of the client. So we have hosted Circle CA and a cloud platform, and we are using Circle CA. And Azure DevOps, so we are using Azure DevOps for three clients, and Jenkins, we are using Jenkins for one of the major client. Okay. So what are the topics we cover? I regularly am working on these technologies. And coming to ISC tool, we do cover ISC tool called Terraform in this course. So these are the technologies I am very strong, and these are the major technologies which I can say. So apart from these technologies, I do have a lot of tools and I do have a lot of applications experience. So day to day, I do work on multiple things. So coming to monitoring tools, and which I am not mentioned here. So I do have good experience on monitoring tools. Let's say Dynatrace. Dynatrace is one of the major leading monitoring tool in nowadays market using market. Okay, Pingdom is one of the tools. SolarWinds is one of the major tool. So widely in market companies are opted these monitoring tools to safeguard and monitor their servers and applications. So I am not mention majority of the tools here because what are the tools which may required as a DevOps engineer I covered in this course and day course, and along with that I can show you the real time scenarios and the real time implementations. Even I can share the real time how the ticket will be received, how the problems will be fixed, and how the pipelines will be whenever there is any issue with the pipeline, how we can fix all those things. I can show you real time. You guys are really experienced good. I mean, you guys are really gain good knowledge with this course. And this course is designed for 2 months. And once we started this class, it will take 2 months to complete. And so the completion date will be decided soon. And coming to the session time, so regularly it's 1 hour 30 minutes session every day. So Monday to Saturday. So it will take 1 hour 30 minutes to, every day. And this course object is so by end of this course, guys can able to understand what is AWS and Azure cloud services along with the essential DevOps topics. And AWS and Azure DevOps course can significantly boost your career by enhancing your cloud computing and DevOps skills. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, we have to deal with the cloud platforms nowadays. So no one is using on-premises. On-premises days are gone. So what are the tools we are going to deal with the day to day, right? So those are all hosted in cloud platforms, and along with your CI/CD tools, everything is on cloud nowadays. Okay, so you can get a good experience and good knowledge and good understanding about the cloud technologies along with the CI/CD tools and DevOps tools. So this course is help you to deal with multiple cloud platforms, automation and implementing CI/CD pipelines and deployment strategies. Once you complete this course, you can easily understand the multiple cloud platforms, what are their offering services, and how we can automate the things, and how we can implement CI/CD pipelines, and how we can deploy the applications using the right strategy. Everything you can understand. So once we complete this course, so you can definitely understand what are the advantages when we implement DevOps. Why? Before implementing DevOps and after implementing DevOps, you have to understand, right? So nowadays, DevOps is a buzzword in the market. So every company, if you name it, so if it's a small company or mid-sized company and CMML, five company, any company can opt DevOps tools nowadays very eagerly, because there are a lot of advantages when they are started implementing DevOps practices, right? So they will definitely understand and enjoy their flavors of futures. Okay, so you can understand once you started learning this multi-cloud and DevOps tools. So what are those advantages? So even you can understand. So whenever you are seeing any errors or problems with the applications while accessing the application, or due to any issues with the connectivity, you can have good knowledge once you complete this course to troubleshoot the issues. And once you complete this course, so you may eligible to apply any of this position. Let's say. Based on your experience, let's say maybe few guys are having more than 3 to 4 years experience, maybe 5 years experience, and there is a gap. Okay, in that case, you may like learn the concepts eagerly, and you can start applying any of this position. Let's say very starting position in the cloud, so AWS or Azure, the cloud engineer. This is very starting position. You can eligible if you have any knowledge on these two technologies, and you have only less gap after your education and current post completion date. So you have very less um, gap. In that case, you are not going to apply as a solution architect or administrator, because to apply these positions you should have at least 4 to 5 years experience as an administrator or professional. You have to have at least 5 years experience to apply this position. Okay, so very basic position, that is Azure Cloud Engineer, or else AWS Cloud Engineer. You can eligible to apply this position. If you have gap, you can understand these concepts well, then you are eligible to apply this cloud administrator or professional. And if you have nearly 7 to 8 years of experience, you are eligible to apply AWS or Azure Cloud Solution Architect. Okay, similarly, there are a couple of positions, security, AWS Azure security professional, and AWS Azure database engineers, database administrators, and finally, AWS Azure DevOps engineers. Okay, there are a couple of levels, junior, senior, lead. So based on your gap, or you can eligible to apply either any position. So these are the positions you are eligible to apply after completion of your course. And coming to prerequisites, this course is designed for absolutely beginners. So generally, it won't require any prerequisites, because we will cover what are the prerequisites required to cover this course. But however, if you guys have any prior knowledge on what is operating system and what is what are the components available in the cloud, those they may have some advantage because they can easily understand these terminologies. No prior AWS or Azure experience is necessary. Prior system administration development knowledge would be an added advantage. It is not a mandatory; it's a added advantage. That's it. Uh, Familiarity with the AWS Azure cloud services. If you have any knowledge or idea about what are the services available in Azure, so that will be added advantage again. So knowledge of any programming language will be added advantage. These are all added advantages. It is not required, because however we will cover all those things. But if you have any experience, what will happen is sometimes maybe the person is working as a desktop engineer or system administrator. They are planning to migrate as a DevOps engineer. In that case, they have the operating systems and cloud services. Maybe the guy who is really working as a cloud engineer. So they, in that case, he is working on one cloud. Let's say he is working on AWS cloud engineer. So he can understand what are the services they are offering. So at least a few of the services. Okay, these are all advantages. If that doesn't have any idea, that will be fine. Absolutely, there is no issue. So we will cover everything from the starting to ending. So what are the topics we are going to cover in this entire course? First, we will discuss about DevOps introduction. In the DevOps introduction, we will cover what is SDLC. SDLC is software development lifecycle. We will explain what is the software development lifecycle and what are the lifecycle models available. And there are multiple lifecycles available, but out of all those, we will discuss waterfall and agile models. So these are all well established and widely used models in the market. In any company, either you can opt agile or waterfall model. But nowadays, everybody using agile. If the project is very small, then they may opt waterfall model. But mostly you can see agile model will be the best model. Everybody is using that agile models nowadays. And what are the advantages and the disadvantages with waterfall and agile model? We can discuss, and simultaneously we will discuss DevOps history and life cycle. Okay, what are the advantages if we implement DevOps in the company, and if you learn DevOps, what are the market scopes and market scope to get a job? What are the how many opportunities? And upfront, if you take 10 years, what is the market position and trends and everything you can understand in this DevOps introduction module. And coming to Linux, we will cover Linux basics in this course, because the Linux basics is essential as a DevOps engineer. You have to understand, because nowadays most of the services are running on DevOps. Tools are running on Linux operating system or Ubuntu operating system. Okay, in that case, everybody is easily understand the Windows operating system, whereas Linux and Windows is completely CLI based. There will be a GUI, but in companies servers they won't use or they won't enable GUI mode. Okay, they will only enable CLI mode. So in that case, you have to understand how to interact with the servers, Linux servers, to perform daily operations. Okay, so I will cover all those commands which are necessary to handle Linux servers, and I will explain entire directory structure and user management and everything, software, how to install software and how to assign, how to deal with the networking components with this Linux, everything you can, and I can explain you in this Linux basics. So most of the comments which will be used at a regular basis, I will show you, and even I will share the document as well. While discussing this Linux commands, so simultaneously I will share the document with you guys. So along with the explanation and the command, the use case, everything I'll share the document. In coming to virtualization, I will discuss what is the virtualization and the type of virtualization. Like there are a couple of virtualization models available. I'll explain those differences. So what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages with these virtualizations, and why virtualization came into market, and after virtualization what will happen, and nowadays how the virtualization is functioning, and everything we'll discuss. What are the differences with virtualization as well as the cloud. So we'll discuss everything in this virtualization component, because virtualization is core component of any cloud. Okay, if you are learning cloud, so you have to understand virtualization as well. Okay, how the market evolves and how the cloud services are running backend. So you don't know, right? So generally we are accessing AWS or Azure cloud services via browser, via internet we are accessing. But backend you have to understand what will happening exactly when you are accessing the services front end. You have to have idea. So what will happen in the backend as well? If you understand any technology from the scratch or core layer, if you understand, right? So troubleshooting is very easy. Okay, so if you don't understand core knowledge or core components, you are not suitable to troubleshoot the issues. So whenever you are receiving any error or issue, so you have to understand the core layer, how we can troubleshoot this issue, where we need to start this troubleshooting part. Okay, for example, you are unable to access the application. As a DevOps engineer, you have to troubleshoot that issue. That is your job. Okay, to troubleshoot the issue, companies won't assign any other persons. As an engineer, you have to troubleshoot the issue. In that case, where you have to start troubleshooting, that you have to understand, right? So that is the reason I'll explain from the scratch everything. So the core layers generally, nowadays I have seen multiple trainers and institutes, so they are not going to cover the core layer because that is very essential. Yeah, coming to networking, so we will cover necessary networking components like what is TCP/IP and what is IP, what is IP classes, what is subnet, what is gateway, what is DNS, and difference between dynamic IP and static IP, what is CIDR and the advantages with the CIDR, and difference between TCP and UDP protocols, and impact of infrastructure components in network, and compare IPv4 and IPv6 address types and unicast, broadcast, multicast differences. And these are all the major headings. Okay, so under each and every topic, there will be subcomponents. Okay, for example, if we discuss what is IP classes, the IP classes may take one day because there are couple of IP classes available. Each and every class is having some range. So we have to understand, and I have to explain the core components of the classes and why the class is starting from here to here. And with let's say if you take any class A, it will start 0 to end with so and so like 127. So why it is ending with 127? Why it is starting 0? So these are all things you have to understand. Then that is very easy for you to handle the cloud infra. Okay, for example, why you need to understand networking, right? So, for example, if you are working in any organization, The company is having multiple servers and multiple desktops and some networking devices. So all are connected in the same office. In that case, they do have their own networking components, like say switches and routers. Okay, the physical networking cards and LAN cables. Everything is connected, and you can touch and feel those components, right? As an engineer, every day you have to deal with those components directly. But whereas cloud, we don't have any physical component layer access. We do have only the services access. But in the cloud also, to safeguard our network, safeguard our servers and applications, we have to create our own network. They will provide the core networking layer access. So, what are the things you are going to perform in the local network? Similarly, uh, uh, those things you can deal with the cloud as well. Okay, so this is very essential for create your infrastructure in your cloud. So without networking, you cannot start your cloud journey. Okay. You have to understand how to create network and how to what is IP address and how to create networking to host your servers. So you have to understand. Okay, this is very essential as a DevOps engineer. As a cloud administrator, you have to have good knowledge on networking as well. So don't worry, we will cover everything in this session. So from the scratch, if you are a fresher or if you are experienced, or if you have, I mean, maybe you are working on some technology. Okay, as a developer, you are working in like a .NET or Java, maybe Python, PHP. But you have to deal with the network services, right? So in that case, you have to understand these networking components as well. So I will cover everything. What are the necessary I will show you with the hands-on experience. You can easily understand, and I can show you from the scratch. So don't worry. So these are all headings. So under this each and every heading, there are subcomponents. So if I mention all the subcomponents, it is having nearly 50 pages of document. Okay, I don't want to explain all those things due to time concern. Okay, so when we started discussing with these topics, you have a good understanding of each and every component. So coming to the cloud computing, so what are the cloud models available and like what are the differences in the cloud service models and cloud infrastructure models? We will discuss. Let's say what is SaaS, what is PaaS, what is yeah, is so everything we can discuss and along with the differences. And if you take SaaS model, what are the access levels we have? If you take PaaS model, what are the service access levels we have? So if you take is means infrastructure as a service. What are the components level we have access? So everything we can discuss. Okay. So advantages along with the disadvantages we can discuss. And coming to cloud infrastructure models, so what is private cloud, what is public cloud, what is hybrid cloud, we can discuss. Okay. So coming to version control system, we will discuss with the Git. So this is very essential for as a DevOps engineer. Without Git, your day won't start. Okay. This is very essential. Day to day, you have to deal with this code. So to deal with the code, you have to understand and have to have good knowledge on Git commands. Okay, what is Git? You have to understand Git workflow. You have to understand how to set up Git. You have to understand and everything. So there are a couple of essential commands which you have to understand and branching strategy. So nowadays, no one is understanding branching strategy. So I'll explain the branching strategy. So in interviews also, the companies asking, they may expect you to explain branching strategy. Okay, if you explain branching strategy, then they can understand. Excuse me, someone is talking. Can you mute yourself? Sorry. Yep. So version control system is very essential for to deal with DevOps tasks. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, you have to understand each and every topic in the Git. Okay, so I will explain you what is local and what is the remote Git and everything, and branching strategy also I'll explain. So like not only Git, so in this course I'll cover the GitHub and Bitbucket and Azure repos as well. Because in institutes outside, I have seen multiple institutes. They are only covering only one version control system. Whereas in this course, we are planning to cover a minimum three. Okay, so what are the what are the things I have covered here, right? So GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure repos. These are all widely used in market. Either companies are using GitHub or Bitbucket and Azure repos. So these are all well widely used tools in the market. So I'll cover all these things, all three components. Okay. So yeah, so these are all headings. Apart from that, every heading is having separate sub modules. So when what are the things I'm going to cover in this course, right? So I will show you the use case and the right fit of this tool and in the real time examples. Okay, I'll share my screen and I'll show you what exactly happening in the real time with using this tool. Why companies are opting these tools and what are the advantages they may gain with this implementing this tool. Okay, I'll show you everything. And coming to clouds, so in this course we will cover AWS and Azure, both clouds we are cover. And so if you take AWS, so we'll discuss very starting. We'll discuss global infrastructure. Similarly, in Azure also we'll discuss global infrastructure. So where they are available, how they are offering the services, and core components of this clouds. Everything we will discuss, and after that we can discuss how to set up the free accounts in AWS and Azure and what are the free components they are offering in the free account tier. So we will discuss and coming to the MAPI. So nowadays Azure, I mean AWS is strictly pushing to enable MAPS to the root accounts. So I'll show you how to enable root accounts. So MAPI, how to configure MAPI for root accounts in AWS as well as in Azure also MAPI setup for admin accounts. So there are slight terminology differences. If you take AWS, they may use some different terminology, and if you take Azure, AWS or Azure, so they may use different terminologies. So ultimately, the goal is same. For example, in Azure, if you take EC2 instance, they may call EC2 instance. The same component in Azure, they may call virtual machines. Here you can see. Okay, so in AWS, the naming convention they may use as EC2 instance. It means EC2 means Elastic Cloud. Okay, so their naming terminologies are a bit different, but in Azure they are using virtual machines. And if you take the load balancer here and there, the same thing. And coming to this block storage, this Elastic block storage in Azure and AWS, they are using the same block storage, but they are naming convention bit different. If you take AWS, we can call S3 buckets. Okay, it is a cloud-based storage, and similarly, Azure also offering the cloud-based storage. We may call blob storage. Okay, so you have to understand the naming convention. The concept is remaining same. The core components are remaining same, but they may use different names due to copyrights. Okay, for example, AWS is using EC2. Even Azure is also offering this EC2 name. So again, they may have copyright issue. Okay. So due to the copyright issue, they are using different names. That's it, and they are using different GUI. That's it. Apart from that, the base or core components are remaining same for the remaining clouds as well. If you learn AWS to understand Azure cloud, that's not a big deal. Okay, so again, it is like up to you. So you have to have a good gene to learn new technologies, right? So, for example, if you started learning any technology, you have to spend at least 2 hours for a day to understand initially these terminologies. Okay, so if you have really have a good knowledge and career, I mean, good career planning, then you have to have 2 hours time to understand these components. Okay, when you start learning, you may have a lot of doubts. So immediately you can post, I'll share one link. You can post your doubts. Immediately I can respond. At least I may, because I am working professional. So I may need to respond to your questions at least. If I have some time, immediately I can respond. Otherwise, I will take some time to respond. But definitely I'll respond to give some solutions to your questions. And coming to the IAM roles, in AWS we can call IAM, so Identity Access Management. So this is used to create role, I mean users and assign roles. For example, in company, so you are the senior DevOps engineer. Similarly, someone will join under you. In that case, you have to create a user account to him, right? So, but as a junior, you are not going to give full control to him. In that case, we are giving some read-only access initially. In that case, how we can create a user, how we can assign the permissions and everything we can discuss. Similarly, in the same concepts, we will discuss on Azure as well. What are the things we are covering in AWS? Similarly, all those components, services we can cover in Azure as well. And in AWS, we can create our network. So in AWS, we can call VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Similarly, in Azure, we can call VNet, Virtual Network. Okay. So very day one, we will create our network. And once we created our network, then we can started creating our resources. Okay, because network is essential. Without networking, if you create any server, so how you can access to your server from outside internet? You cannot, right? So to access your resources, the server should be have one IP address. One public IP address should be required to access the server. Okay? So that is the reason first we have to create our network. Once the network is ready, then we can start it provisioning our resources. So no worries, I'll show you one by one. And coming to databases. So if you are as a DevOps engineer, we have to have good knowledge on databases as well. Okay, so once the application is hosted on the production environment, so generally in the production environment, the developers doesn't have access. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, you'll be having full access to deal with any infrastructure because you are the owner of those resources. Okay, so you can giving deployments to the production environments, and in that case you should be have good full access. Okay, full access to the production environment. Okay, you don't have any restrictions. As a developer, they have restrictions to access the servers, but as a DevOps engineer, you have full control on those servers. Okay. So today, for example, the developers are going to release a new build to the production environment. The planning has been completed, and you have approved from business to give the new build to production environment. Generally, to give a build to production environment, we have to get a downtime from business or client, we can say. Okay. So based on their approvals, we can push a new deployment to the production environment. To do that, before doing that, we have to take a backup, database backups. Okay, generally developers won't take the backups. As a DevOps engineer, we have to take the backups because after deployment, maybe the new build is not performing as expected. Okay, so they are developed the new module, the new module is not working as expected. The client is asking us to revert build to the previous state. Okay. In that case, we have to restore the same databases, the previously taken databases and the production environment. Okay, in that case, you have to take the backup before giving the new build to production environment. Not only production, generally, we have to take the backups whenever we are going to give the builds to any environment. Generally, in the dev area, we won't take backups because that is development copy, right? So generally, we can take the backups in the stage and production environments. We generally used to take backups every day because I am working in one of the major domain called insurance and the banking. So these two things I am working. So regularly we are taking backups because of daily changes. If you take insurance, motor vehicle insurance, so every day a lot of vehicles are released in the market. So if you generally if you take today one of the companies launching one car, for example. So the car is having different components. Okay, to cover a insurance, we have to add the model into our insurance portal, right? So, for example, you are planning to purchase a policy for your car. Nowadays, vehicle insurance or personal insurances and healthcare insurances are offering in the B2C model. Okay, earlier you have to approach to someone to take a policy, but nowadays every insurance is offering B2C model. B2C is nothing but the client can directly connect their site and they can purchase the policy based on their requirement. That is called B2C model. So nowadays, everybody is offering B2C services. Earlier, they don't have for B2C. Everything is B2B. B2B means you have to approach some agent. The agent can purchase a policy, offer a policy based on your inputs, and you have to pay the amount to them. But nowadays, B2C model, you can purchase your policies or you can purchase your insurance and you can directly pay the whatever amount it is showing there. Okay. Yeah, in that case, every day lot of changes are happening. So to do that, to accommodate those changes in the portal, we are giving builds at least every week, twice or thrice we are going to give builds because this company, what are the company I'm working in currently, right? So the company is having throughout global support. So they're offering services in US, India, Asia market, Europe market, and US market. Okay. 360 days, I'm working are supporting their infrastructure to safeguard and to give the builds. Yeah. So to give the example, I'm like explaining this component. So why we are taking backups means this is the one of the use case. Okay. Whenever we are going to give any builds or releases to the production environment, we have to take the backups. These backups can be stored for some centralized location for 30 days at least. So there are some conditions to take and safeguard these databases. So I'll show you with the use cases. So there will be a lot of discussions and a lot of examples which I can show you and I can discuss with you guys while starting our real topics. And coming to Lambda functions, so in AWS we can say Lambda functions, and similarly those functions in Azure we can call function apps. Okay, so these are all lightweighted services we can say. If you guys heard APIs, so nowadays every model, every application is running as a API model. For example, to give a best example about the API models, you are planning to book a train ticket, for example. Generally, we can book a tickets in IRCTC site. Most of the people make access IRCTC website and they can try to book a ticket, train ticket. But some cases, I may use Make My Trip. Okay, so because I'm very good rapport with Make My Trip and they're offering good services, they are offering big good discounts when I book a ticket. So I'm interested to book a ticket in Make My Trip. But ultimately, you have to book a ticket, train ticket, right? So the train is not belongs to Make My Trip. The train is not belongs to IRCTC, but IRCTC is one of the portal which is offered by the Indian Railway. So ultimately, the train is belongs to Indian Railway. So you have to connect Indian Railway website to book a ticket. So you are connected to Make My Trip website and you are logged in using your credentials. So you just selected a source and destination, then you can fetch the data. Okay, for example, you are planning to visit Vizag from Hyderabad to we are planning to travel Vizag. Okay, so you enter source is Secunderabad and destination is Vizag, and you just hit the button and it will fetch the availability. Okay, so backend it will connect to IRCTC website, because IRCTC is a primary website. That is the authorized website which is offered by Indian Railway. So ultimately, Make My Trip website will be trying to connect IRCTC backend database and fetch the availability details for you. Okay, so to do that, there will be a API. So the API is always not connected to IRCTC website. So whenever the request is coming from end users, in the particular time, the API will be triggered, and once the required details has been fetched from the IRCTC website, and it will display in front of the Make My Trip, then the API will goes to sleep state. Okay, so it is not always connected model. It is on-demand model. Okay, whenever you require, you just hit the button. That's it. The particular task has been performed, and it will went to the sleep state. So that is the advantage with the API. So what will happen in that case? For example, if you take any company's website, it will be available for 24 by 7. Okay, even you can access their site in midnight. It will be available because it is a static website. So in the globe, anybody can access their website in any time, right? So, because one of our client is in US. Okay, they may planning to see what are the services and what are the capabilities companies have. In that case, they may connect in the midnight as well. For us, for them it is a daytime. For us, it's midnight. Okay, but the website should be available always. Okay, but whereas in API, it won't available always. On demand basis, it will be available because you are not going to see every day IRCTC website or IRCTC availability or Make My Trip. In the every day, you are not going to log in Make My Trip to check the tickets availability, right? So whenever you require, you can enter into the Make My Trip website and you can check. In that case, there is no meaning to connect always. The API is always connected to the website. What will happen? It will unnecessarily generating the lot of traffic. Okay, it will generating lot of traffic. So the Make My Trip is one of the examples. Similarly, there are a couple of companies trying to connect IRCTC website simultaneously, right? Make My Trip is one of the use case I am using here. But similarly, a lot of companies also offering train tickets. Okay, everybody is always connected to the website. What will happen? Unnecessarily, it is generating lot of traffic. To avoid that issues, generally API model is offered nowadays. So API is on-demand basis. Whenever we hit the button, it will be connected to the website and it will give the result and went to sleep state. So to accommodate those type of services, we can use the Lambda functions, or else in Azure we can use function apps. Okay. So I'll explain what are the advantages and what are the advantages with the function apps and Lambda functions, how we can implement these functions. And coming to Route 53 in AWS. So generally Route 53 or DNS are the primary concept is DNS. Actually, DNS is the official word. So Azure is using DNS, but in AWS, the same DNS name they can call Route 53. Why they are using Route 53 means DNS port number is 53. Okay, every networking service has their own port number. So to understand easily, they are create a service name Route 53 in AWS. But because already Azure is using DNS, so once they are using DNS name, they are not eligible to use this DNS as their service because they may have copyright issues. So to use another name, they are using the Route 53. So using port number, they are easily identified because who is the person is really having good understanding about this IT, they can easily understand the port numbers, right? So using the port number, they can easily recognize, okay, DNS Route 53 is nothing but DNS. So even I'll show you what are the well-known port numbers. So what are the port numbers we may require to remember? Even in interviews, they may ask the port numbers as well. At least as a DevOps engineer, you should be remember 20 to 25 port numbers. Okay. So well-known port numbers, you always remember these port numbers. Without knowing port numbers, you cannot understand how the connectivity is working in the cloud. Okay. So once you host any application on the cloud, you have to allow these port numbers to connect outside. So without knowing the port numbers, how can you allow this connectivity for outside network? So that is very difficult for you to deal with cloud services. Okay. That is the reason I'm covering this port numbers concept as well. So what are the topics which I mentioned here? These are all primary headings. That's it. Under each and every topic, we have multiple subcomponents, which we will cover one by one, one by one. Okay. These are the components we can cover in this Azure and AWS cloud. So these are all the primary headings. Under each and every heading, there are a couple of subtopics. Okay. So I'll show you, because if you take any cloud, right? So if you take AWS or Azure, they are offering more than 200 services. Each cloud provider will offering more than 200 plus services nowadays. So no one is using these services. If you take any, I mean, if you ask any person who is working on the real time industry, no one is using 200 services in their entire career. The guy is having 20 years of experience also, they don't have I mean, they don't need to require to access 200 services. At least these are all primary components. What are the primary components which may deal with every day? So I can show you. So at least we have 15 primary services. Under 15 primary services, we may have more than 20 subcomponents. So okay, we may touch almost 50 of 50, nearly 50 services we can cover in this course. Okay. So to understand that, for example, when we are dealing with the VPC in AWS. Okay. So here I can mention only VPC. So VPC is one of the services they are offering. Under VPC, there will be subnets. Okay. Subnet is one of the services, but here I am not mentioning VPC. And under VPC, again under VPC, there will be gateway, internet gateway, NAT gateway, peering, public IP, private IP, route table, security groups, firewalls. These are all services we can see. So if you take VPC, there will be 10 sub services. That is also called a service. Okay, to mention all those services, so the document size will be more than 50 pages. Okay, that is the reason I'm not mentioning those components, the sub services here, but we have to discuss those components when we are talking about VPC concept. Okay, in that case, you have to have minimum 50 services idea end of this course. Each cloud, you may have good knowledge and good understanding about these services, and each cloud you may have minimum to minimum 50 services, I'm guaranteeing you. So minimum to minimum you can touch 50 services in each cloud. Yeah, that is what about the Azure and AWS. So I'll just give you a quick pause here. So if you guys have any questions, just post in the chat, or else unmute yourself and ask me, so I can give you the explanation or idea. Hope no more questions so far. So okay, we'll continue. So also we will discuss web servers, web servers mean nothing but Apache and Tomcat we are discussing. So what is the need of web server, and what are the web servers available? Out of all those web servers, why we are covering Apache or Tomcat as a web servers in this course? I'll show you, and I can explain each and every component in the Apache and Tomcat, and how to install this web servers in Windows and Linux machines. I'll show you. And after the installation, what are the settings we have to adjust to connect, and how to host the application and web servers. I'll show you. So without web server, you cannot access the application outside. Okay? Web server is necessary to access any application from internet. Okay, or intranet or internet, you can say. So web server is necessary or essential to host a application. Without web server, no one can host the application. Okay. So as a DevOps engineer, you have to understand these web servers. So ultimately, end of this course, you are planning to host your application via CI/CD. So you are hosted the application on web servers only. Okay, not on servers, web servers only. You are hosting the web server. I mean, you are hosting the application on the server also. The server will serve these pages via web server only in the public network. Okay. I'll show you how to host these applications, how to create and how to configure this Tomcat or Apache Tomcat servers. Okay. Apart from these servers, in Windows, generally we use IIS. IIS is also one of the web server. Okay, and there will be Nginx also one web server is available in the cloud. So and Wildfly is also one of the web server, and JBoss. So JBoss is JBoss advanced version is Wildfly actually. Earlier we used to have JBoss. JBoss is acquired by Red Hat. So Red Hat is renamed to Wildfly, and now the JBoss services offered by using Wildfly name. Okay. So I'll discuss what are the web servers we may have and why we are using the Tomcat and Apache web servers. And also, if the time permits, we can discuss IIS as well. I'll show you how to host application in IIS. Okay, because in my case, I am using one of the project we are using Tomcat is a backend server. In the front end, we are using IIS. Okay, because generally in companies, Tomcat directly won't expose to public network. So once we hosted our application on Tomcat, Tomcat is a middle layer, and using Tomcat, we can redirect these applications via Apache or IIS or any third-party Nginx or something. Okay, so there will be some use cases why we are doing this way. So I'll explain that. So what are the topics I'm showing you or explaining you? Those are all real time. So, okay, so if you really understand my concepts, so you definitely crack any interview. Okay, I'll explain every concepts and components in the real time, based on the real time only. Okay, so if you attend this class from day one to day end, you definitely reach at least 3 to 4 years of experience you can gain in this entire syllabus. Okay. But you have to spend at least 2 hours a day, and you can ask as many as questions so that you can familiar with these application models and services models and troubleshooting also. That is very easy. So you can have good understanding about all these services. That is very easy for you to crack any interview. Okay. Yeah. So coming to ISC tool, the Terraform is one of the famous tool widely used in market. ISC tool, generally Terraform is called as ISC tool. So if you take any ISC tool category, Terraform is one of the primary widely used tool. And similarly, in AWS, CloudFormation is one of the tool. So generally, companies are nowadays using Terraform. While using Terraform, there are a lot of advantages. For example, you are learning Terraform. So you are working on AWS cloud. So you used to create a scripts to frozen resources in AWS. Generally, as an engineer, you can connect AWS or Azure cloud portal, and you can manually create any resources. But to automatically create any resources, we have to write a script, right? So manually you can create by accessing the portal, but how you can write a script to automate your resources to create or terminate? So this is a right tool, and use this is a Terraform is a widely used tool. So using this tool, you can automatically frozen your resources using by scripts. Okay, you no need to connect or log into the portal. Directly you can write a script, and you can execute the script. It will create required services. Okay. One fine day the service won't require for you, so in that case you can directly execute the same command it will terminate all the resources which was created using the script. So using the scripts, Terraform scripts, it's a YAML script because anybody can write these scripts without having any prior development knowledge also, because it is very easily understandable language. And the beauty of this Terraform is every service related script available in Terraform website itself. If you wanted to provision any EC2 instance or virtual machine in Azure, you can directly connect their Terraform website and you can copy the script. It will be available readily. You just change minor naming conventions like the server name and the names which you need to prefer to create the resources. You just add those names, that's it. And the credentials, so which account you are going to connect, then those credentials you have to save in your local machine or you can supply in the script itself. Okay. That is the advantage with the Terraform. Using this Terraform, you can create the resources automatically. And also the major advantage with the Terraform is supporting more than 200 vendors. Okay. 200 vendors means nothing but the Azure. Azure is one vendor, they can say. And Azure and AWS is one vendor. And GCP is one vendor. Similarly, Alibaba Cloud is there, IBM Cloud is there, Oracle Cloud is there, and so there are many clouds available in the market, and also the hybrid clouds, private clouds. And if you wanted to provision resources in on-premises, if you have any on-premises resources, you can create resources using Terraform scripts. It will be supported, but where no tool is supporting these many vendors. Okay, that is the reason. If you learn Terraform, you can implement anywhere. So, for example, today you are working in Azure. Tomorrow you may get a chance to work with AWS. Or day after tomorrow you may get a chance to work on GCP. But at the end of the day, you can use this Terraform to provision resources in any platform. Okay, sure. That is the advantage. And one more advantage with the Terraform is there will be one primary component is the called state file. So how we can maintain this state file in centralized location and what are the advantages to maintain this file in the centralized location, I'll show you. Okay, so definitely you can have good experience and good knowledge once we discuss with Terraform. And there are a lot of advantages with the Terraform. So I'll show you how we can write the scripts to reuse multiple times. So every day we are not going to create these Terraform scripts. Once you create the script, you can reuse the script for multiple times. Tomorrow, you may use this script to create one server. Or day after tomorrow, you may receive one more request to create 10 servers. Using the same script, you can create 10 servers at a time. Okay, you are not going to write another script. Okay, using this existing script, you can do some minute settings, then you can create 10 servers in the single shot. So those are the advantages. So generally we can say, so once you create the script, you can use multiple times. That is the advantage with Terraform. And as a DevOps engineer, you have to understand the ISC, one of the ISC tool for Terraform is very useful tool. You have to understand well. And Docker. So Docker is very essential as a DevOps engineer. You have to understand how the containers will be work and what is container and what are the advantages with this container model. And also we can discuss Kubernetes simultaneously. Okay, so this is the orchestration tool, we can say. So I'll show you what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages with the containers and why Kubernetes entered into the market, or why nowadays Kubernetes and Docker widely used in market. Okay, so containerization comes under which virtualization technology? Again, it is also virtualization technology. Okay, this is also again virtualization technology. What will be the change to implement these containerized concepts in the virtualization? So this comes under which category? I'll explain everything. And along with the Kubernetes also we can explain. And how to install this Docker in Windows and Linux we can discuss. I'll show you. So coming to Maven, Maven is a build tool. So we can discuss build tool. Without build tool, you cannot create a packages. Okay, generally developers write the code. Okay, so once they prepare the code, we are not going to deploy this code on any server. Okay, so if you deploy directly to If you directly copy paste this code in this, any of the server, the application won't run. We have to create a packages. As a DevOps engineer, you have to take this code and create a package. Okay. So to create a package, Maven is a one of the tool widely used in market. There are couple of build tools available like Ant, Gradle, Maven, and MS Build. These are all well-known build tools. But out of all these tools, Maven is a very widely used tool in the market. So we can discuss about the Maven, how the Maven will be work, what are the advantages of Maven, and how to install this Maven tool. Everything we can see. And coming to databases, we can discuss self-hosted databases versus cloud versions, and how to take the backups and how to restore the backups and how to create users and everything we can see in this database module. And in this relational databases, we can say MS SQL or MySQL, and PostgreSQL we can discuss. And SonarQube. SonarQube is also one of the tool to scan our code. Generally, developers write code and they can push into the centralized repository. So once they commit their code into centralized repository, if the code is having any vulnerability and the code is containing any malicious software, then it will deployed on the production environment. The entire server or application may vulnerable. Okay, so the data may steal by some hackers. To avoid such type of issues, it is not a scanning tool. Actually, it is not a antivirus scanning tool. It is a code scanning tool. Let's say I am writing a code using some libraries. Those libraries are outdated. So the outdated libraries are having some malicious code or vulnerabilities. So in that case, the guy who doesn't write a code, who doesn't know the library is having some vulnerability. So he integrated those libraries and deployed the code and pushed the code to centralized repository. But as a SonarQube integration, the SonarQube identified, okay, this code is not 100% safe, and the code is having some malicious libraries, and the code won't give option to merge into centralized or primary branch. So the build will be failed. The build will be failed. So once the build is failed, as a DevOps engineer, you have to inform to the developer, okay, your build has been failed. You have to check why it was failed. If you have good knowledge on the pipeline model, so even you can access those logs, pipeline logs, and you can see where exactly the issue. So you can understand, okay, the build has been failed because of so and so reason. Then directly you can inform to the person, a developer, okay, due to this reason, the build was failed. So you can fix the issue and recommit your code. So to identify these kind of issues, we can integrate SonarQube. And SonarQube is also offering a cloud-based and on-premises model. If you want, you can install SonarQube in your on-premises model. If you wanted to opt cloud services, you can pay some amount to uh, and you can lock the cloud models as well. Okay, I will show you how to integrate SonarQube in this pipeline CI model. So we'll show you what are the advantages, how we can see once we integrated this SonarQube in the pipeline. And Ansible, so we will discuss Ansible. It is a configuration management tool. So to install softwares using the centralized remote areas, so we can use Ansible. So there are a couple of tools available similarly, but we will discuss Ansible. It is a stable software tool, which you can say it is belongs to Red Hat. So we can discuss Ansible in this course. And coming to CI/CD tool, we will discuss Jenkins as well as Azure Devops. Okay, both we can discuss. So how to install the Jenkins? First, we will discuss how to install Jenkins. Everything. How to install Jenkins and how to integrate the plugins. Everything we will discuss, and how to create users, how to provide the permissions, and how to create pipelines. Everything we will discuss in this Jenkins. And coming to Azure DevOps, this is also one of the CI/CD tool. So it is belongs to Microsoft Azure. So they are also offering CI/CD tool. So in this CI/CD tool, we will discuss how to create a pipelines and how to deploy the applications using pipeline, how to store our artifacts and everything, how to check the logs, and how to provide the permissions. For example, there may be a couple of users working as a DevOps engineer. You are the senior engineer. How you can create account to the junior engineers, and how you can provide the permissions, we will discuss. And the coming to keyword is another concept to store our credentials. Generally we can store our credentials, uh, and while creating say pipelines, we want to hard code our credentials, let's say server username and password. Instead that we can store credentials in Azure keyword. In Azure, we can say keyword. So there will be one link. We can integrate those link in this pipeline. So whenever it requires the credentials required, it will call this here. It will get necessary credentials in the backend. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, this is what about this CI/CD concepts of Azure and Jenkins. Apart from that, finally, we will discuss real-time project implementations. We will discuss one Java project, one Node project, one .NET or Python project, and how to create a pipelines for deploy these projects and host on web servers. Finally, we will show you. And after that, the last session, one day, we will discuss on real-time topics. Okay, how the real time. I'll share my real time servers and real time CACD tools with you guys. I'll show you how the real time scenarios are working and how we can receive requests from business and to host to create a CACD pipeline and to deploy the services, and how we can take a downtimes and how we can plan a downtimes and everything. I'll show you. So all the topics which I am covering in this course, those are all real time, and that will be definitely helpful you guys to get a job in the quick, and that is very helpful for you guys to understand multiple components like Azure and AWS so very easily. So by end of this course you can get a lot of knowledge. Okay, definitely you can get a good understanding about entire CSD tools and everything. Okay, so that's it for today. So if you guys have any doubts, just ping me. Any doubts, no issues, whether that is the career and so tool related to tools. If you are looking for any particular service, anything, any question you can post here, or else you can unmute yourself and just post me, or else I'll unmute yourself and I'll unmute you. You can speak. Okay, then hope no questions. I'm closing the session. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.